Call to order. Call to order the Common Council meeting for February 21st, 2017, 5:30 p.m. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Here.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Here.
Councilmember Shikawa.
Here.
Councilmember at Large Wawishin.
Present. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. I'll ask the city clerk to please read the certification of prior meetings.
This is to certify that an official copy of the minutes of the Common Council meeting of Tuesday, February 7th, 2017 was presented to the mayor on Friday, February 17th, 2017. Pursuant to Section 3.03 of the Dunkirk City Charter, all items presented to the mayor are now in full force and effect. In witness whereof, I have hereto set my hand and seal of the city of Dunkirk, New York, to this 21st day of February 2017.
Need a motion dispensing with the reading of the minutes. Councilman Williams with the first, Councilman Gonzalez with the second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Williams.
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto.
Aye.
Councilmember Gonzalez.
Aye.
Councilmember Shikawa.
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Wawishin.
Aye. Reading of the privilege of the floor regulations.
The privilege of the floor shall be extended to any person appearing for themselves, in which case the individual shall be limited to 3 minutes, and to any person representing a group who shall be limited to 5 minutes when recognized. Please stand and state your name and address. The city clerk shall have the duty of maintaining such time limits, and the councilman at large may determine in his discretion whether individuals are speaking for themselves or representing groups. Council member at large Wawishin shall maintain a good order and may require any speaker to cease speaking if remarks are made in bad taste or are slanderous or non-germane to any action taken or contemplated by council. The time limits specified shall be strictly adhered to, except that a speaker may be allowed to complete a statement or thought started before such time has expired.
Privilege of the floor is now open. I would like to remind everybody, since there are so many people here, to be fair to everybody, that if you're speaking on behalf of a group, please hold to the 5 minutes. If you're not speaking on behalf of a group and as an individual, please hold to the 3 minutes in order to be fair so everybody has an opportunity to speak. If you wish to speak, please approach the microphone on the podium, state your name and address.
Good evening. I'm Steve Reese. I reside at 433 Dove Street in the 2nd Ward. I'm speaking as an individual this evening. A number of years ago, a recently deceased former member of this council introduced a draft proposal of a local law to be known as Chapter 61, regulating rental properties in the city of Dunkirk. At the time, there was some public interest in such a regulation, but the council chose not to go forward with approval or implementation. This proposal, which has become known as the Floramo Plan, called for regulation and inspection of the living conditions, the health and safety considerations of rental property, and holding property owners accountable for such concerns. While the original draft is somewhat dated and in need of revision to be made current before it could be acted upon, provisions included remain valid and important to the community today. While I am in no way suggesting that all owner-landlords engaged in property rental in the city are negligent of their responsibilities regarding their properties, it is evident that there are some owners, both local and non-resident, who are interested only in monetary return through constant occupancy with little regard to either physical infrastructure of the properties or the health, safety, and well-being of their tenants. In a community that contains some of the oldest housing stock in the nation, much of it not owner-occupied, some manner of regulation is an imperative, especially given the likelihood of obsolete, unsafe, or inadequate electrical wiring, deteriorated structural members, foundations, or roofs, poorly maintained plumbing, heating, or ventilation systems, compliance with extant fire or life safety codes and building codes, along with lesser issues such as failure to keep the property clean painted, or the grounds maintained. It is vital that the city building inspector as code enforcement officer through a new chapter in the city code be afforded interior inspection access to properties to ensure compliance and assess penalties if necessary. The city seems to want to attract businesses and employers to the area, but with an inadequate or potentially dangerous rental housing stock that is not periodically inspected or maintained, there is little or no incentive for either businesses or their employees to seek out the community as a business location or a housing option. Incorporation of codes that are specifically related to regulation of rental property by cities is commonplace in the state of New York, ranging from very basic to extremely detailed. A random sampling of communities has shown that most include provisions for inspection of premises and registration of landlords or their agents. The draft proposal, as you are likely already aware, is very detailed and does include some provisions that certain owners might well find distasteful. However, an owner who maintains a property with regard to the best interests of the tenant and the community should have little to fear from carefully crafted and enforced regulation. Especially important beyond registration of landlords is the need for local property management engaged by non-resident owners and the requirement for periodic inspection of all rental units. I encourage the city attorney as well as members of the council to revisit the proposal for Chapter 61 of the City Code and amend and enhance as necessary to create a workable regulation that will benefit both tenants and landlords and by extension all members of the community. I thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, Mr. Reese. Very well said. If there anyone, oh, I'm sorry. Go right ahead.
Yep. Nicole Waite, 723 Washington Avenue. I'm also here to speak in favor of rental property registration and inspections. According to the 2013 American Community Survey, almost 40% of Dunkirk's housing stock, housing units are rental units. They're in my neighborhoods, they're in your neighborhoods. Now there are property owners that do take care of their properties and they're to be applauded and appreciated. However, the unkempt ones are unsafe for inhabitants, they drag down our property values, and they destroy the beauty of our community. Out-of-towners purchase property in the city at dirt cheap prices and they don't maintain them. This must be discouraged. They need to be held accountable, but our current zoning laws are outdated and inadequate. Now is the time to act. The list grant that the city secured will allow the city to conduct a survey of the conditions of all residential property. This baseline data can be used to compare current conditions with future ones resulting from this change in policy and will prove it was indeed a good decision. I'm asking one council member to care enough about our neighborhoods to form a committee to work with the city attorney and develop a city law that will hold rental owners accountable. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Waite.
My name is Judy Hollander. I live at 615 Swan Street. 50 years ago, my husband and I bought our house on Swan Street. It was a nice neighborhood, people took care of their properties, and pride in ownership. Today, that is no longer the case. Now, like much of our city, our neighborhood is filled with rentals, some with out-of-town owners. Many houses are in poor condition. Our building inspector is very limited in what he can do to improve the situation. I'm here today to ask you council members to work on this problem, enact laws that will help improve the rentals that are in such bad shape, find a way to make the owners responsible for the upkeep. It's not fair to those of us paying taxes and keeping our properties in good condition to be surrounded by eyesores. Help us to feel proud of our city. It does have a lot to offer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Hollander. Anybody else wishing to speak, please step forward to the microphone, state your name and address.
Michael Civiletto, I'm the chairman of the Community Advisory Committee. We have, of course, championed this as one of our, the rental agreement as one of the main topics that we really want the council to look at and to move forward with. In the past, I've heard, in fact, the last meeting I was at, councilman said that they don't have the agreement. Danny McGill assured me that he put it in everyone's box. Seeing as that's the case, I have a digital copy for every single one of you. Not only does it have the Floramo plan on it, it has the Buffalo laws, it has the Jamestown laws. And the Jamestown and the Buffalo laws all have requirements for landlords to be registered and to pay a fee to be registered and to have information on the books at the city so that the city can get a hold of them if something happens, and they have ability to go in and do inspections either biannually or every 3 years, depending on how many properties they actually own. So I'd like to offer these to the councilmen. I have 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. So one for each of the councilmen, one for the city attorney, one for the mayor. And I'd like to just briefly read
Thank you.
what the Jamestown law, just real quickly, what one part of it. According to Chapter 215, subsection 41-1A, it is mandatory requirement that all owners of residence which contain at least one rental unit complete and file a landlord registration form with the Jamestown City Clerk. The form is to be filed within 30 days upon receipt thereof or immediately upon request with the city clerk. If the information on the previously filed landlord registration form changes for any reason, it is the current owner's responsibility to immediately correct the information on the applicable form on file. So this shows that other cities actually have a registration for everyone who rents, who is a rental property owner in the city. That way, if something happens, we can get a hold of them, and the inspector has some ability to go and inspect some of these places and actually get a hold of the owners if there's a problem. That's really all I have as far as wanting to voice my concern about this, as well as really the reason that we as a committee are concerned about this is we're concerned with the welfare of the people who live here. We heard stories, granted they be hearsay, of people who don't have water heaters for a certain amount of time, who have had things like tubs fall through the floor, and the owner lives in a state somewhere else and doesn't come and doesn't have anyone here to come and fix the property, and they're, they have bathrooms without tubs. I mean, there's lots of problems throughout the city that that people who rent here shouldn't have to deal with. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Civiletto. Anyone else wishing to speak, please step forward, state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Skeeter Tower. I live at 438 Swan Street. I'm here today as a follow-up to the letter and photos I sent to you from a group of residents on the 600 block of Main Street on January 20th of this year. First, I want to thank you for boarding up the Sari Washington house, which has been vacant for over 12 years, inviting drug activity, entry by vagrants, neighborhood kids, and copper thieves. I hope this work was at the expense of the wealthy owner in Texas and not our taxpayers. The next step is to demolish the garage in the back before it falls down. The building is full of hypodermic needles, as reported by those who have entered. The property continues to detract from adjacent property values and the overall appearance and safety of the street. If the council were to pass the Floramo plan, which was written with the assistance of the former city attorney and took hours of previous council members' time and consideration, not to mention citizen input, we would address this kind of problem. The absentee owner would be mandated to have a local representative who could be legally served. Mr. Zarowski has suggested a flaw in the plan is that no one would want to work for her for fear of jail or massive fines. I'm sure the plan would add teeth to cover this and suggest she could not own property in the city without meeting this criterion, and the property could move on to a more responsible owner. If we have codes, we must enforce them. We have also noticed a few positive changes across the street at the house 626 Main Street, owned by one of the most notorious slum landlords of the city. It is well known he owns well over 30 properties in the city, but fails to care for them properly. We have 2 of his rentals on our block, and both show rampant code violations easily seen from the street. People are actually living there at both addresses and paying rent for very substandard apartments. Where the roof is compromised, the windows are broken and covered with plastic, debris is lying around the entire property. Doors don't fit, and we have heard the report about the bathtub. It seems to make sense that inspection of such and all rental properties, inside and out, would eliminate many of these chronic situations which exist all around the city. Other towns and cities manage to register and inspect such properties. Why can't we? We also thank you for acquiring through the land bank another decrepit property on this block. This means progress. It represents hope. Yes, we're paying attention. This particular Main Street neighborhood is reaching out to compete in a community pride grant. It is a grassroots effort by the people who have signed a petition asking for help and support from you, our mayor and our council and our city inspector, to return this neighborhood into the vital, stable neighborhood it once was. Where it once happily served an Italian community, now it is incoming Puerto Ricans, mostly coming to raise their family and hoping for a better life. Whoever chooses to live here deserves quality living, not only safe housing, but we hope to build a pocket park on either side of 6th Street to better serve the children and the families of this community. We are grateful for the city's support of this project. There will be gardens to beautify this part of the city, visible along Route 60, a main artery leading to the lake and commercial district. These are smaller aesthetic steps we as volunteer citizens can make, but it is you, the officials of the city, who need to pass the legislation to upgrade the rentals in the entire city and guard against the encroachment of out-of-town investors and unscrupulous local landlords who buy a cheap building on the internet and let it rot away, squeezing money from already struggling tenants. This must stop, or our city will forever look shabby and be passed by for development and continue to lose our young people of the next generation. There is a photo and comment about Dunkirk in this book, Main Street, the Face of Urban America. It is not complimentary. The caption reads, "Empty streets, empty sidewalks, empty shop fronts, aging buildings, poor people, litter left behind by a nation that moved to the suburbs." The date is 1966. The pendulum is swinging. People want to move into attractive urban areas with complete streets and walkable cities, amenities such as our beautiful lake and parks. Dunkirk can compete in this area, but only if we address the growing rental dilemma and lack of code enforcement. Many of us here today believe that the Floramo plan is a place to start. Identify, register, and inspect rental properties within the city and gain control of a problem that is currently out of control. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Tower. If anybody else wishes to speak, please step forward and state your name and address.
Richard Titus, 61 Steel Acres, Dunkirk. I'm speaking on just myself. What is going on with this house on 3rd Street, just this side of Swan, where that car, they had a fire? That car has been sitting in that driveway for months. That's one thing. Secondly, there's a junkyard, I don't think it's, across from the junkyard on Willow Road, there's a car repair shop. It's getting to be a graveyard for old cars out there. He's piling them up, piling them up. Third thing, I walk a lot. I think each one of the constables should go to their ward, walk through your ward and just see. I bet you'll see 25, 30 houses that should be fixed up. Note these things and try to do something about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Titus. If anyone else is wishing to speak, please step forward and state your name and address.
Hello, my name is Ruth Antosh. I live at 1179 Central, and my husband and I bought our house 30 years ago. We've been there ever since, and always have loved living in Dunkirk. Like the gentleman before me, I do a lot of walking, and in the past few years, I've really noticed a change in neighborhoods as I go deeper into Dunkirk. And I've begun to worry about the derelict properties that I go by, which seem to be rental properties. And I guess from my point of view, my concern is what are the living conditions like inside? And isn't this a danger to children and families and the elderly who are actually living in these properties? And I guess I was particularly amazed to learn that the housing inspector is not able to go in and inspect a property unless invited by the owner. And I guess if I were the owner of a rundown property, the last thing I would do is invite the housing inspector. So it seems odd to me that the housing inspector can't go in unless I have misinformation. So I'm just here as an individual to express concern and say that I still am very happy to live in Dunkirk, but I wish we could do something about these rundown properties. Thanks.
Thank you, Mrs. Antosh. Anybody else wishing to speak, please step forward and state your name and address.
My name is Roger Orchid. I'm here for two reasons. First of all, I want to thank our Councilman at Large for sending me such a detailed write-up on the tax base in Dunkirk. This is my second council meeting. The first one I came to, I made a one-liner that somebody told me, and Andy set that straight. So, but it's too long to go into here. Suffice to say, thanks very much. You didn't do that in 5 minutes. That was really well thought out.
Thank you.
That was very, very good. Secondly, I read this article in the Observer about the Ferramo plan, and Rose was my council person. So somebody ring my doorbell someday and sees got a receding hairline like I do now. We haven't actually spoken since that day you rang the doorbell. We spoke. But it'd be great if you'd pick up the ball with the Ferramo plan. This is. I read that article and I just couldn't believe it, but then I remembered my mother was telling me, oh, you don't know how it was in Dunkirk, boy, during the war, you couldn't find a house and blah, blah, blah. Well, I moved here, bought the house next to my mother. I lived in a great big contemporary house in Frederick, Maryland. I moved here to a 1,469 square foot house, and to this day, my electric bill comes labeled upper. Kid you not, right? How they fit two families, and that little teeny 1,469 square feet, I don't know. But there was a time in Dunkirk where you couldn't find a house. My mother said during World War II, during the, when they had good employment and all the rest, it was very difficult. Well now, see, I was saying to myself, the city's over 100 years old. How is it that we don't have this ability? This seems ridiculous. Well, then it dawned on me that we didn't have this situation before with all of these homes available. So I just wanted to come and also ask the council to take this up and be grateful if my councilman would take it up and run with that ball. And if there's anything I can do, you found my house before, you can ring the doorbell again. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Orchid.
Thank you.
My name is Amanda Strait. I'm from 221 King Street in Dunkirk. I've been working with low-income families for the past 5 years, and almost on a weekly basis, I have families that are coming in that are living in deplorable conditions. You'll get a lot of pushback from people saying, why don't they just move somewhere else? But when the choice is between a cockroach infestation or a house with broken windows and floors that are falling to the ground, it becomes difficult for people to find places to live where they feel safe. I'm also in support of the Floramo plan, but I want the landlords to understand that we're not in it to hurt the landlords. This plan would not only protect the tenants and their children, but it would protect the liability of the landlords. So I would really just ask that we have some support for this plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Straight. Anybody else wishing to speak, please step forward and state your name and address. Last chance. Anybody else wishing to speak, please step forward and state your name and address. Seeing no more, privilege of the floor is now closed. We will move on to communications from the mayor, including disapproval messages.
Just have a couple of updates for council. Chautauqua County has obtained $50,000 to the Municipal Consolidation and Efficiency Competition in order to create a plan for the consolidation of services throughout Chautauqua County. In the Phase 1 application, the City of Dunkirk was included along with the Village of Fredonia to further look into the consolidation of the police departments. The $50,000 plan will allow the county to further define what the total $20 million will be used for, and will develop guidance and numbers for projects such as the consolidation of the city and village's police departments. Chautauqua County is now one of 6 applicants still in the running for the $20 million grant. And I just want to say that while I was in Albany, I did have conversation there and discussion with Mayor Landis, and I know that there's a gentleman from the Department of State who has reached out now and is looking to come out to meet with us once again. So this issue is still something that is a possibility. There's potential there for a consolidation, and perhaps we could include the courts. So just wanted to, again, give you the update on that. And in reference to the Wright Park RFP was dispersed on Wednesday, February 15th. All interested consultants must submit their application by February 28th at 4 p.m. to our Planning and Development Department. Final consultants will be acknowledged by March 3rd, and interviews will take place on the week of the 8th. This is the beginning process of implementing the improvements at Wright Park. All construction will be taking place in phases so that the park can be utilized all summer long. I just wanted to again remind you that part of the bidding process paperwork is that we're requesting for the contractors to understand that we want the work done in phases so that the park can be used throughout the summer. And then also our city police department has obtained a $16,000 grant for tactical gear and training equipment through the Police Protective Equipment Grant Award from New York State Department of Criminal Justice Services. This grant will provide funds for our department to purchase protective equipment for our SRT tactical response team, which will allow our SRT officers the best possible protection when responding to incidents. And kudos goes out to the chief and his staff for their work in pursuing this grant. And that's it. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Communications from the public and petitions. Clerk, please read number 1.
Thank you letter from Henry and Rachel Hube to the Dunkirk Police Department.
This communication will be received and filed. Number 2.
Request from Buffalo United Front Incorporated to use Memorial Park on Saturday, June 24th, 2017, from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. for a family fun day.
Any discussion, council? Seeing none, I will need a motion to refer to the appropriate departments as well as approve subject to appropriate insurances and conditions. Councilman Williams with the first. Councilman Belmonto with the second. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Belmonto?
Aye.
Councilmember Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilmember Shikawa?
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Wawishan.
Aye. Number 3.
Request from Scott Herzig on behalf of First Ward Falcons Club to use the stadium, School 7 Field, Cooks Field on May 6, 2017, for an early bird fast pitch softball tournament.
Any discussion, council? Councilwoman Shikawa?
I'd just like to point out that they'll have to get requests to use the school 7 field from the school system itself. We do not allow us to prove that, so we can prove everything else except for school 7.
Thank you, Councilwoman Shikawa. Any further discussion? Seeing none, I need a motion to refer it to the appropriate departments as well as approve, subject to appropriate insurances and usual conditions. First by Councilman Williams, second by Councilman Bamanto. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilman Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilmember Shikawa?
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Wilwishin.
Aye. Number 4.
Request from Dunkirk Fast Pitch Team to use the stadium, Cooks, and School 7 fields on July 14th to the 16th, waiver of the curfew for all 3 days, and permission for a food stand around the stadium for that weekend.
Any discussion, council? Councilwoman Shikawa?
Same thing, permission for school 7 will have to be obtained by them from the school system.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, I need a motion to refer to the appropriate departments as well as approve, subject to appropriate insurances and usual conditions. Councilman Williams with the first, Councilman Gonzalez with the second. Clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilmember Shikawa?
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Wilwishin.
Aye. Seeing that there was no discussion on the 4 forthcoming loudspeaker applications, I'm going to ask that they all be read as one and voted on underneath one vote. Clerk, please read A.
Loudspeaker applications from A. Lakeshore Street Rod Association for live band and DJ on July 9th, 2017 at the Large Pavilion at Point Gratiot. B. Dunkirk Memorial Post 62 for live band on Monday, May 29th, 2017 from 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. at 211 Central Avenue. C. Northern Chautauqua Conservation Club Incorporated for live bands and speakers from May 1st through October 1st. And D. Bart's Cove for live bands and speakers from May 1st through November 30th, 2017.
Any discussion, council? I need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Gonzalez, second by Councilwoman Shikawa. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilmember Shikawa?
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Wilwishin.
Aye. Number 6.
Claim of notice from Heidi Rizzo for alleged damage to her vehicle due to a pothole while driving on Willow Road on January 17, 2017.
I need a motion to refer this to the city attorney. Councilwoman Shikawa, second. Councilman Williams, clerk, call the roll.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Bamanto?
Aye.
Councilmember Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilmember Shikawa?
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Wilwishin.
Aye. Number 7, reports of standing committees, boards, and commissions. Mr. Williams, the floor is yours.
I just want to let everybody know that we have a DPW committee meeting coming up next Tuesday, February 28th, 4 o'clock at the water filtration plant. Public's welcome to come. The more the merrier. Also, just wanted to ask the DPW director, I'm sure you're out already, but there are a lot of potholes out there. Hopefully we're getting those going.
We're out all day today. We have about 2 streets left in the 4th ward, and the 4th ward will be completed, and then we'll be moving into the 3rd ward after that.
You get that big one that just as you turn off the Roberts on the Doty.
We'll do our best.
All right, thanks. That's all I have.
Thank you, Councilman Williams. Councilman Bamanto?
Yes. Al, can you give us an update on Mr. Titus's question on 3rd Street?
Yeah, as I said at the last meeting, we have that in litigation, and that is being done, going to be accomplished through the court system.
So we can't do nothing in the meantime? I mean, Chief Edwards, you think it's a safe situation there?
Do I think it's
3rd Street?
a safe situation?
Yeah, we okay?
No, I believe that myself and the building inspector deemed it an unsafe situation, but
We can't do anything.
as of right now, it has to go through the process that the building inspector has to follow.
Okay. Thank you. One announcement, the Adult Rec Basketball League starts this week at the middle school and the high school. We would like to thank the Dunkirk school system for letting us use the gym. And I'd like to thank everybody for coming up, who came up tonight and spoke. Thank you very much.
What's that? Thank you, Councilman Bamanto. Councilman Gonzalez, the floor is yours.
Okay, first of all, we had the economic development just before this one, in which we had a tremendous presentation by the HUD of Buffalo, and Mr. Rusi and Mrs. Smith in regards to the opioid epidemic and drug situation that we have in the county and how to address that, and their intentions to do that in regards to building a center here that will be operated by people from the city of Dunkirk and Swan, including the doctor and security personnel for that. It was a very intense, a very long presentation, but it was well worth it. I'm pretty sure the Observer will follow up on that in the paper as to everything that was spoken about in that meeting. And if you have any questions or any concerns or whatever, you can address our economic development, Mrs. Janice, and she'll try to, Rebecca will try to address that. Also, in regards to the Floramo plan, that is something that I am interested in, and I said before, I'm taking that, I'm going to direct the city attorney and the inspector that we could meet together to address a plan of action in regards to that. And also, I would like to address it to the Rebecca also again for the April 1st meeting to try to set up a PowerPoint presentation in regards to what's available in the CD that he has provided, so we can go over and see, along with the attorney and the inspector, to see how quickly we can try and move on and doing something. It is a problem that it's been addressed on and on for quite a few meetings, and it's a problem that concerns me also. And sometimes we feel that nothing is being done, but a lot of times our hands are tied by the courts and our hands are tied by laws that do not help at all the situation. So hopefully we can address that at one of our next meetings by meeting with the attorney and with the inspector. We'll try to see what plan of action we can come up with, and also do a presentation, like I said, probably in April at our economic development meeting, and to address that. So please, those people that are here that spoke in regards to that, that you be present also at that meeting. So we'll talk further on that, and we'll get some more information out as stuff developed in regards to that meeting. And I guess that's all.
Thank you, Councilman Gonzalez. Councilwoman Shikawa?
I'd like to announce that there'll be a public safety meeting tomorrow at 4 o'clock in the conference room. It is open to the public for anyone wishing to attend. And I'd also like to speak to all the individuals who spoke about the rental plan. This has been my 7th year on council, and this has been something we've been talking about for quite some time. When the original plan came to us, we outlined, including myself, areas with concern, areas that we'd like to see changed, because our plan couldn't be mimicked exactly to another community because some of our needs are different. So having said that, we worked with the mayor and the city attorney. My plan itself, with all of my changes, recommendations, and questions, was handed over, and I never got that back, which is why I asked Mr. Soletto to hand us another plan, which we did not receive until tonight. So my suggestion to council would be to take this home on your own time, go through it, mark some changes, mark some areas of questions that you'll have, and then I would like to see, like I just leaned over to Andy and asked if we could maybe set this up with the economic development, go page by page, note our questions, concerns, along with the mayor and Al, and I'd like to see this move forward. This isn't something that we've ignored. Please understand that. If it was easy for the council to just make up a plan and put it in the minutes and move forward with it, it would have been done a long time ago. But you're talking about needing help from the county and the state of New York. At this time, you can go online and purchase a home without ever stepping foot in Mayville to bid on that property. That needs to change, and that's what I asked Mayor Rosas when he was leaving for his conference, to maybe reach out to some of those folks and see if we can get the county's help in changing the way you can purchase a home. Because if I was purchasing a home, I would definitely want to go look at the house first of all, and you need to know that I'm buying that. But that unfortunately isn't the case. So many of these things, not all of them, our building inspector's hands are tied with the way we can do business. But I know this is important to the mayor as well as the council, so please know that we'll be working on it the best that we can to maybe move forward with that. Having said that, that's all I have.
Thank you, Councilwoman Chikawa. I just have a few things. Mr. Civiletto, if you could stick around after the meeting, I got a couple questions. Mr. Orchid, just you tinged my memory again when you spoke about you receiving a utility bill and it saying upper.
Yes.
One of my uncles just passed away. He was 80 years old. He inherited the family home from his parents. To this day, he still receives the bills in his father's name, his utility bills, electric bills, and the gentleman has been dead 60 years. So don't always trust the utilities company as far as the names on the bills go. In the week full of meetings, to announce a couple more for you, we have a finance meeting, 4 o'clock on Thursday, if anybody would like to attend that. And for all those that are interested in the repowering of NRG, there is a public hearing on the new proposed NRG pilot at 1 o'clock Friday afternoon at the Fredonia State Incubator down here on Central Avenue. So if you're interested in that, that is available and open to the public as well. That is all I have. Number 8, unfinished business. We have none. Number 9, pre-file resolutions. We have none. Number 10, new business. Nothing being walked in. However, we're not going to hop and run for the door right away. We do have a special presentation this evening by Mr. Hector Rosas and Mayor Rosas. Floor is yours.
Well, first of all, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming down to the meeting today. It's nice to see the wonderful turnouts being increased every week. And one time you hear some good comments, another time you're going to hear some concerned comments. And it's nice to be a part of that. First of all, my name is Hector Rose, a special events chair in the Planning and Development Department. And I wanted to take a moment to recognize wonderful coach, Donna Cabrera, who is the coach of the girls' Dunkirk High School bowling team, and their efforts, they did something unheard of in the history of Dunkirk bowling. And I mentioned it to the mayor, who in turn told me, well, if you can find a donor for the plaques, I'll agree with it. And I told him I had already done so. So we are here today, and the plaque reads as such. If I could have Donna Cabrera please come up to the front. Ladies and gentlemen, can you please give her a round of applause? Donna, the plaque reads as such, and I will hand this to the mayor after I read it, and he can present that to you. And the plaque reads, the difference between success and failure is often determined by a team's dedication. Congratulations. 2016-2017 Dunkirk High School girls bowling team, perfect record of excellence, 40-0, regular season championship. Congratulations from Mayor Rosas, the city of Dunkirk, that includes you all, to Coach Donna Cabrera, and also mentions the listed teammates, including the JV team, which was moved up to the varsity, and so they are also included in this wonderful achievement, and should take note of that. AJ Petzek, will you please stand up? Lydia Corbett. Hannah Elman. Mariah Gloniak. Michaela Patcher. Emily Fancher. Deanna White. We also have Whitney Rice. And finally, Summer Clark.
Just like to say that this is also, this team was designated by New York State as scholar athletes, which makes this even more special. So So congratulations, the city of Dunkirk is very proud of you. On behalf of our city of Dunkirk Common Council, and on my behalf, congratulations.
Now, what I'll do for the girls is I'll call you out one at a time, and you all will come up with a plaque on behalf of Mayor Rosas and this administration, City of Dunkirk Common Council, and myself included. Mariah Gloniak.
Hector, she was gonna speak, let her speak first.
Sure.
I just wanted to say on behalf of all of my girls, thank you for this honor. This is wonderful. And to just mention about the scholar athlete, for the scholar athlete, you have to have a team average of over 90% for the whole team to have this honor. And 5 of my girls alone have averages of 95 or above. That's awesome. I want to say thank you to the girls and their parents for a wonderful season. We couldn't have done it without all of you.
So I'll call you out one at a time. Whitney Ice. I guess they made a mistake on the spelling. We'll correct that for you, okay? Tiana White. Summer Clark. Hannah Elman. AJ Pensick.
Turn around and smile with the mayor. Hold on, one more.
You didn't think you'd get away without a picture, did you?
One more. Thank you.
Olivia Corbett. Emily Fancher. And Michaela Pazer. And there's one more thing I want to say before we finish. Some of these girls are 8th graders. It's just remarkable the achievement that was just completed this year, the bowling league, and to have this happen for Dunkirk High School in our city, it's just remarkable. Now, how many of you are seniors? So we have 2 seniors. What does that tell you about the future of Dunkirk bowling? So once again, can we have a round of applause for this wonderful team? Stay right there in your space, please. I'm trying to get the team photo.
Sean.
All right, on 3. 1, 2, 3. Great.
Come on up, parents. Go ahead.
While the parents are taking a photo, I just wanted to remark that the coach, or AD is with us today, Coach Serratori, and also Dr. James Tracy's back here also from the Dunkirk High School District. So Round of applause for them for being here. And that concludes our ceremony, so thank you for coming. You're welcome. Congratulations, girls. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Councilmember Williams?
Aye.
Councilmember Monto?
Aye.
Councilmember Gonzalez?
Aye.
Councilmember Shakala?
Aye.
Councilmember at Large Waweshin?